and arbitrage. And I know I told you guys we were going to be going live just a little bit more often. So there goes Simon. Did you want to say something before we?
No, go ahead, go in, and then I was going to go into a few things before we got into the meat of the subject. But go ahead, whatever you would like to say.
Okay, so we've been working on me telling you about censorship. So, we're in the age of Aquarius and the age of knowing. There's information abound is everywhere. But just understand that slowly but surely, they are going to be working on censoring the information that's available to you in order to kind of tighten controls and to make their vision of these smart cities viable and sustainable. So that's important to understand. So, Google, we always make jokes like, hey, Google me, stuff like that. But Google is a corporation. And what does that mean? That means that as a large corporation, they're going to do what they're told in order to continue to get the benefits that they get from the elite. Okay? Um, so uh, an alternative search would be DuckDuckGo.
Yeah.
You guys know that Bing belongs to Microsoft, and Bill Gates is Microsoft,
Yeah.
and he's the head of a lot of these things that we'll be talking about in the days to come. This list that I'm going to give you today, it is 9 subjects that Google will not allow to show in the search. Okay, so that means if you are a content creator and you start talking about these 9 things, your video is not going to show up in the search. Your audience is not going to be able to access your information easily, and it's just going to make your ability to create and disseminate content very, very difficult. Now,
Yeah, and you understand. I mean, I'm sorry, I don't know if this has something to do with that, but you also understand we know many content creators, and there's this thing that they call shadow banning.
oh yeah,
And so, that's you're gonna see this kind of stuff. People who have hundreds of thousands of followers, but all of a sudden they're only getting, so many views. And so we have a good friend, the good friend of the show, Zoe Williams. He's constantly being shadow banned. And so, this is what she's talking about. Certain things that you have in your title, certain things you may say during your show, right? Or are they're only doing the titles, or
the titles
just
really.
the titles only? Yeah.
So what that is actual independent fact checkers, the people who are going to give you the truth because they receive documents and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You're not going to be able to get the truth about matters, right? And we've all seen their independent fact checkers. That's going to be a big thing. So what they've been doing is they have initiated, and I'm dead serious when I say this, they have initiated the war on misinformation. And where there's a war, there's going to be casualties.
Yes, unfortunately.
So I say that because demonetization, shadow banning, you're going to be profiled for sure.
Profile for sure. Profile for sure. I know about being profiled, right? We know about being profiled. Another thing, just shutting down your whole channel,
Yeah.
right? So, as content creators, if you are out there, make sure you keep your content somewhere else other than just YouTube.
Yeah.
Because if they
You'll
shut
lose
down
it.
your channel, you lose all your videos. And so, keep them somewhere else. Keep them safe.
And I think we assume that people know that that YouTube belongs to Google, but YouTube belongs to Google. So just understand that, right? The correlation between the two entities. Now, I'm going to give this list to you guys. And what I really do want you to do is use this list to do your research. See what they are saying, peep the buzzwords, see how they are giving you the information, and then read in between the lines. What are you really telling me?
Yes.
What is the plan really? Why would you roll something like this out, and so on and so forth? And then you want to cross check it when you get a chance. TikTokers. So far, TikTok isn't censoring like Facebook censors. You guys, when you're scrolling on Facebook, and somebody says something, that fact check thing would come up. And a lot of times those fact check things are not facts and they haven't been checked and the information in it is not correct or accurate. So that's another thing that a lot of people are noticing, because you guys know that the internet detectives are unmatched. Right? There is no detective like the internet detectives. If you are out acting the fool in public, the internet detectives are going to figure out who you are, where you work, and they're going to get you fired. So if they can do that, just understand the power that you have right now in order to cross-reference information. So let's go with number one. What is being deleted from Google's algorithm, okay? And they're going to be suppressing these small media outlets. You are a small media outlet if you provide content. We are a small media outlet. That's why the titles are getting the house in order, right? The content's kind of in there, but the title is just getting the house in order, okay? Number one, anything dealing with COVID-19 statistics. Why? They only want you to have the information that they have. I don't know if you guys know, but they're going to be rolling out another variant this month. So they're going to try to begin to work on lockdown measures, so on and so forth, because this variant is more dangerous than any variant before. And if you are an independent content creator who is actually posting statistics, who's actually posting accurate information on what's going on with it, your content's going to be deleted and it's not going to show in the search. Next, number two, the World Bank, right? This is assets and arbitrage. Everything we do at the end of the day, no matter how far down the rabbit hole Simon and I take you, has something to do with the economy and economics, always. Some people have difficulty like understanding the correlation, but everything affects your financial health, everything. So, moving on, number three, FBI crime statistics. Why? I don't know. But FBI crime statistics. So, here's my speculation. My speculation is, I had told you guys 2 shows ago about the smart cities, and in the smart cities, there will not be any crime. I want you guys, when you get a chance, to Google or DuckDuckGo or whatever you're going to use, Judge Dredd. Sit and watch it, because those are smart cities, and that's how they deal with crime, right? It's going to be very heavily penalized. They were the judge, the jury, and the executioner, and that's what the movie was about. So FBI crime statistics, because right now the FBI has great profiling, right? They tell you that a school shooter is going to be a white male between the ages of, I think, 13 and 18, right? They have a profile.
Yeah, they're subs, right?
Right.
You guys used to watch
Criminal Minds.
Criminal Minds.
With Shamar Moore.
Yeah, that's all they did is they profile these people so that they can narrow it down to see who they're actually looking for.
Right. So it's not it's possible, but it's not probable that your school shooter is going to be a female. She would be an outlier, right? So I'm not saying that it hasn't happened or it doesn't happen. I'm saying that according to the FBI, that would be an outlier, right? It wouldn't be part of the profile that they put together. You guys know when they were doing COINTELPRO, their FBI profile was black men, right? They weren't looking for white men. They weren't looking for Hispanic men. They weren't looking for Irish men. They weren't looking for the Polish. They weren't looking for the Italians, despite the crime that was happening in New York. They were looking for black men. So J. Edgar Hoover had a profile that only dealt with black men, didn't deal with black women or children, just the men. So FBI crime stats are going to be, right? I'm using my fingers because now if you're going to be deleting independent fact checkers and so on and so forth, there's no way to verify the information, and they can make anyone and anything a profile that's not necessarily possible. It's possible, but not necessarily probable. Okay? Like serial killers. We all know that typically they're not black. Yes, there were 1 or 2, but they were outliers according to the FBI.
And one is questionable, but
So let's move on. Number 4, one world government, one world global government. You guys know that's biblical. We've talked about this. I think it's important for you guys to start doing searches, but just understand that right now your searches are going to be laden and laced with biblical scripture, praying, quotes.
Yep. Yes, indeed.
Just for measure, if you're interested biblically in what the one world global government, you should read Daniel chapter 9. You should also read Revelation 13, read Revelation chapter 16, and read Revelation chapter 19. Okay, so do your homework. Next, the global warming stats. So this is the International Panel on Change Climate. What they're doing is this change that's rolling out with the smart cities and stuff. Your social credits are going to be based on carbon emissions. They're trying to lower the carbon footprint of each individual.
Yes, they
Hi, Alpha Robbins. Thank you for joining us. It is going to happen. They're trying to lower the carbon footprint. So your social credits are going to be social carbon credits. What does that mean? That means, for those of you who haven't watched the previous shows, smart cities in the United States and in the West, you can only travel 15 minutes from your domain to somewhere else. You will not be able to drive further than that. You will be mandated to get electric cars. These cars will be mandated to have what's called a kill switch. You will need a permit to go to the city, to the town next door, right? So if you're headed anywhere 16 minutes away, it's a problem. They could ground you.
Yep.
The Euphrates River is drying up, and they are trying to tell you that the Euphrates River, where the what's the canal called?
Well, the Panama Canal.
The Panama Canal,
Yeah,
thank you. The Panama Canal is also drying up, and they're saying that it's climate change and we're in big trouble. And it's true that they're drying up. That's not a lie. That's the absolute truth. I'll talk about the Euphrates a little bit later and take y'all down that deep, deep rabbit hole, but not today. So understand that these smart cities are designed to keep you confined, and I'm using that word on purpose, confined to one location, and you cannot move outside the borders of that location. Gone will be the days where you think you're gonna pack a bag and fly to Bali and backpack for 2 weeks, and then travel to Aruba and sit on the beach and pick up women or pick up men in a cute bikini, right? Gone will be those days. Because can you imagine the carbon emissions of an airplane, y'all? Like, they're not gonna let us do it. Now, the rich people will be able to move about freely because they'll have the capital to do it. Now, the other smart cities are very different. I talked to you guys briefly, not briefly, I kind of really went into it in the second show, about Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia, they're building, everything's 5 minutes away from your domain, meaning there are no cars there. Right? You're just moving about the inside of this building because this building is located in between the desert, the mountain, the high valley, and the Red Sea. That's it.
Yes, and so it is built also for you not to really have to leave, right? So you just stay in there. They have your stores in there, everything you may need, everything that you want, everything like that. So you got to keep an eye out for these. You know, you can't really travel around. It's far away from the airport. There's a very good video on it, I think we had left in the description, that shows you how the smart city is built up and out and narrow through the mountains.
So for those of you who want to see,
500 meters?
yes, 500 meters tall.
500 meters through the mountains, 500 meters tall. This is the smart city. And people will think, you know, maybe that it's pretty convenient and it's a good place to live, but that's what they want you to think, right?
Now, one of the points we wanted to make about those smart cities is we travel a lot and we've seen poverty.
Yes.
Like, we've seen poverty that people who don't travel couldn't possibly fathom. And with that being said, I'm bringing it up because these people are going to be more than happy to get these accommodations. Everything's provided for them, right? They're going to really enjoy it. And I wanted to take back to my Black people, think about the plantation. It's a myth that everybody wanted to be free. That's not true. Because when the freedom fighters showed up and was like, let's go, Muggs was like, I'm staying here. Where are we going to live? Where am I going to get clothes from? Who's going to feed us? They were scared to leave. When the the black people were emancipated. I'm gonna take
But
you on
tell
a
them the story. I mean, they know. I mean, they may know already, but Harriet Tubman,
Tubman.
she's taking people, up north, and she had a gun. Like if you got like in the middle of it and you started to get nervous, like no, 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 I want to go back. She had a gun.
Because if you went back, you would put everyone in jeopardy.
Yeah,
But
she'll
I'm
kill
talking
you.
about not leaving to begin with.
Oh, you talking about those people under the porch?
The
Yeah,
people
that's
not
what.
leaving to
Yeah,
begin with. So when they were emancipated, what happened was, you got to remember that Juneteenth is the understanding that black people didn't even know they were free for almost 2 years after that was signed and put into law. So the Union soldiers were going from plantation to plantation trying to get people to leave, and a lot of them didn't want to leave.
they didn't want to leave at all, because they didn't have any. You check that out if there's anything
I
necessary.
will.
Okay, but I'll talk while you check it out. I mean,
I will.
they didn't have anywhere to go. They were just out on the streets. And what happened is, if you go back and do the knowledge, because the black people during slavery were the ones who did all the work, they had
The skills.
the skills and things like that. They just turned into what? Sharecroppers and things like that, because the white people didn't have the skills. Once the slaves left the plantation, who's going to upkeep the plantation?
And that's really what these smart cities are about. So it's about draining your economic energy, right? So it's both physical and very spiritual, and just understand that. So you really if you guys want to know what we mean about the Saudi Arabia smart city, just Google Saudi Arabia smart city. It's the second result that shows up. There's a great video. There's he's an astrophysicist. I'm gonna read it in just a minute, babe.
He's an astrophysicist.
Yeah, that's Alpha Robbins.
Okay.
He said, however, we do waste more energy collecting the lithium than the car. Lithium miles per charge as of now. I do understand. I get it. He's talking about the smart car thing.
Oh yeah.
Right? He's saying, like, you don't like gas. This is even more. But they have more control over you, Alpha Robbins, with that kill switch, right? You go where we allow you to go. You go when we allow you to go. You go in the manner in which we say it's okay to do. It is absolute control. Now, I did have one one subscriber to the channel send me an email, and she was like, Erin, I just want to know, you say it's all biblical and it's spiritual and so on and so forth. What is all the control about? What is the street lights capturing every move, the gathering of all of the information?
Yeah.
God is omniscient. Omniscient meaning he can see everything. He can be everywhere. He can hear all of our prayers simultaneously. The devil, the adversary is what I'm gonna call him. The adversary is not. He has to manufacture omniscience. And that's what all the data gathering is for. That's what all of the censorship is for. That's what the smart cities are for. He is manufacturing, and they're biomapping our brains. That's going to be a show all on its own. We'll talk about it. Meaning our brains, thoughts are things. For those of you who read Think Rich, right, by Napoleon Hill, thoughts are things. When you have a thought, it actually kind of sits outside of your mind. That's why when you walk into a room, you can pick up a vibe of the room. That's why if somebody's sad, even though they didn't say, you could pick the vibe up, like, you're not yourself today.
Yeah.
Right? So thoughts are things. With that being said, they're biomapping our brain. I'm going to do a whole show on it, I promise. Our brains, the frequency that it emits is like our fingerprints. Each one is individual. And they're using smart computers in order to get, what's POV? That video game kind of POV. But like your perspective through your the lens of your eye. Because you understand that your eyes reach out into the environment. And when you see stuff, it goes back into your brain and forms the information it needs to form. They're using the supercomputers to kind of be the brain and put it all together and even map your thoughts. Now, there's a Bible verse, I think it's Isaiah. I know my Bible verses, but I'm not good at cataloging them. So y'all bear with me. And God says, as the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts are higher than your thoughts, which is why we don't understand God's plan. But God can sense our thoughts and give us a revelation in order for us to move on. the adversary has to collect all of this information so that he can manufacture, mimic, and imitate omniscience and omnipotence. All right, we're gonna move on. PFC Wells, how you doing? We haven't seen you in a little bit.
I ain't seen you in a while. What's up? What's up?
God is using more advanced tech. He absolutely is. He's smarter than the average bear. And you got to remember, he's the creator of physics. He's the creator of quantum physics. I could go on and on about the living God, right? So that's why he can be omniscient. He can be omnipotent. He's like, hey, right? This is high level, not eye level. So that's what he was talking about in Isaiah. But it's nice to see you, PFC Wells. Hi, Wesley SK. Wesley SK said virtual reality. Yes. The metaverse, those oculars, right? There were movies about that. All of that is designed to do some biomapping to see, put you in a virtual world so it can really capture and gather all of the information it can about you. How you act in an environment. That's what the metaverse is all about. The metaverse wants to take you out of your reality, put it into the metaverse reality in order to see how you behave in environments. And the thing is, because it's not reality, you don't have those penalizations. People act uninhibited in those realities.
They sure do.
And this is how profiles are gathered. PFC Wells said, life out here lifting. Are you at the gym? Maybe he's at the gym watching us.
Yeah, that's what's up. I hit the gym a little bit earlier.
In the middle of the night, he's doing his weights and stuff, clanking those weights and stuff like that, y'all. He trying to be sexy for me. Number 6 is weird, right? Outlier. May not be important to you guys, but I have to mention it. Anheuser-Busch is, if you say anything about Anheuser-Busch, they're going to take it down. I don't know why, but it does have something to do with their trans agenda. I'm not really sure what that's about. I haven't looked into it. And to me right now, it's not that important. So
yeah, unless you guys like Budweiser, but yeah,
I was shocked about that. So that's weird.
When we were looking it up, that was weird.
So don't say anything about them, content creators. Number 7, which should be actually number 2, but it's not.
Okay.
World Health Organization findings on any topic.
Interesting.
Right? We're going to do a show about that for sure. Number 8, the United Nations Energy Statistics Database. Okay? The United Nations is actually the engine that's running this World Economic Forum. The engine, okay? This is the engine of the car. It is the transmission of the car. It is what's making the agenda of the car, right? Metaphorically, the agenda is what's driving it.
Okay, yeah, I get that. That's a very good way to put it. That's a great way to put it. The engine, I like that. I like that analogy.
So their energy statistics, along with the global warming statistics, guess who else is on the list?
Yeah.
The EPA, right?
The EPA.
So when we have all these statistics in one place and we don't have our independent fact checkers to be like, this don't feel right, this don't sound right. Y'all, this is actually what's happening. It's a way to corral everyone to peacefully go along with the agenda because this is all the information that they have. Even during the COVID epidemic, there was a lot of confusion and fear in the people, and they really just took whatever the news said because they didn't know what was going on, and we didn't have enough information at the time to be like, this is weird.
This is weird, but in that vein of thought, I don't know if you want to talk about what I call ageism. Because these people are really focused on the younger people. The younger people, if you grow up in a society and this is what is going on, you will go along with it
because it's always been that way.
Because it's always been that way. Their target is the young people. So remember that. And I said in a show before a long time ago that people over a certain age, as far as what's going on here, it don't matter. And it was a little rough. People got at me for that, but they're not talking to us. They ain't talking to us. They talking to kids. They talking to my children. And your children, and everybody else's children. So keep that in mind because this is an attack on young people. because if they get the young people just get used to it, then they'll just do it without arguing.
Right.
We gonna push back because we like, nah, that ain't right. That's not how it's supposed to be. But young people don't know. That's how it was all the time. So what? So what's the difference?
Right. If you're born into confinement, you don't know the difference.
Don't know the difference.
I'm sorry. I'm PFC Wells. He said he's out here lifing. I apologize. He's life out here lifing. I thought he was at the gym. I said lifting, but he's lifing. PFC Wells also said, big facts. Wait till they start charging folks to download your personality for virtual retirement spaces. How many of you guys remember Total Recall? I'm like really showing my age with these old 80s movies. But Total Recall was about going into a virtual world, right? You go, you take that red pill, you sit in the chair, and once you take that red pill, you get to move into a different world, so much so that he completely forgot who he actually was, and thank God his self knew that this was going to happen and left him a hologram to tell him who he really was, right? Yeah. So not only that, but I don't know how many of you guys have been seeing the artificial intelligence on social media. One night, I think I showed you, but I really showed the kids. Yeah. They use artificial intelligence. They had these rappers who had passed away, and they use artificial intelligence for them to tell you the story on how they passed away. And when I tell you, like for instance, King Von was so lifelike. I don't know how they got his voice, his mannerisms. It was crazy. It was absolutely, that's the only one I was familiar with. I wasn't familiar with the other ones.
To me, it's kind of creepy.
It's very creepy.
I wasn't really down for watching all of them.
It's very creepy. And if you didn't know, you didn't know. Now, understand that there's a spiritual aspect to that, right? We talk about rest in peace. Some people can't rest in peace when you're doing stuff like that with technology, too. They're using artificial intelligence on Instagram. They made an artificial girl, and they put her next to a real woman. And then they said, which woman do you like better? And both women were absolutely spectacularly gorgeous. Everyone picked the artificial one, not even knowing she wasn't real. And that is the data that they're gathering, right? What do you, nobody humans, how do y'all think? How do y'all act? How do you make decisions? Because what they want to do is like the Minority Report with Tom Cruise, right? I'm giving y'all the movies. Go find them and watch them. If you got to pay a little bit to kind of get it off of whatever streaming platform, sit and watch it and study it, because that spirit told you up front what it is that they want to do. Yeah. In the movie Minority Report, for those of you who didn't get a chance to watch it, hi KRBE, thank you so much for joining us. For those people who watch Minority Report, the idea was to catch you and penalize you before you did the crime, because we had the technology to see that that was a decision you might make.
Which goes back to the biomapping.
Yep. Absolutely. All right, I'm going to move on because we're going to do specific shows about all of these things. The last one, like we said, was the Environment Protection Agency Greenhouse Gas Report. Again, we are talking about climate change, and that's the platform you're running on. So what they're going to want to do is they're going to shame you. You don't want people to live. You don't want the children to grow up in a world where they can breathe. It's going to be a lot of like shaming and twisting information in a way where if you don't want to go along with it, you are absolute evil. That's what we're dealing with.
That's what we're dealing with. We got a lot here. She went over a lot. Like she said, each one of these shows, we will do a deeper dive into them.
But I do want to mention PFC Wells' comment. PFC Wells, you are so right. We got to get you on the show one day. He said, I stopped taking the EPA seriously once I learned that military from air quality controls. And they have to be exempt because first of all, we all know electric cars are having significant amount of problems, right? We've all seen that. But the military is going to be exempt from all of that because that's going to be the new police, right? It's not going to be a local sheriff. They'll be around and stuff, but it's the military that's really going to enforce the controls on the people. That's why the budget went up and so on and so forth. And they're going to go through all of this We're going to go through the World Economic Forum SDG. It's happening this month, September.
Yep.
So before they meet, I want to sit down with you guys and talk to you about their 7-year plan. Daniel chapter 9, read it because it talks about this
What can we say?
7-year
Can you hear
agreement.
it? Can you say what it is?
So Daniel 9 talks about the 7-year agreement.
And what
He
is it?
said 7 days because you got to remember these were prophets who were given visions. And it's like having a dream. You guys have dreams, they're significant, but everything is symbols. So sometimes you have to kind of sit and wait for the revelation to blossom in you. You're like, okay, I understand what these symbols mean now. But Daniel 9 talks about the 7-year agreement.
Yep.
And what it does is it explains to you, and that's why Revelation 13, 16, and 19
Yep.
are important to read after that, because it explains to you how there's going to be a 3.5-year period. And then in the second 3.5-year period, the Antichrist is going to make himself known. He's going to reign. He's going to go and desolate the temple that the Israelis are going to build. The red heifers are ready to go, right? For those of you who are Bible scholars. So it's just the breaking up of these tribulation. You guys have heard this, the tribulation period.
Yeah.
Right? It breaks up into 2 periods, 2 3.5-year periods. If you guys want me to go in that, we can. I don't want to make anybody uncomfortable, but I do have to tell y'all the truth. And there are 360 Bible prophecies. 310 have already been fulfilled. Right? And the statistics of that is like
It's
0 to
incredible.
none. It's incredible, right? PFC Wells also said that this stuff we talk about on MTOS, the AI VR stuff is in all the movies, TV shows 20 to 40 years back, and it's playing out now for real. So one of the things I want to teach y'all about spirituality is they teach you that the devil is a liar, and he is, and that's scriptural, and yes. However, spirit always tells you up front who they are and what they're doing, right? So that's what the movies were about. They were telling you up front, this is what we're going to do. And they use a loophole because the adversary is legalistic, right? When you see things that are legal,
Yeah.
legislative,
Mm-hmm.
that's his spirit, right? Yes, God had the law, but his law doesn't work that way. He doesn't look for loopholes to walk himself out of the word in which he promised you. He said, my word will not go out void, but it will fulfill the thing in which I have affirmed it. That's the word of God. The adversary, we all know he give with the right and take with the left. He's always looking for that loophole in the contract to not do what he promised you. We understand that. With that being said, the 7-year agreement is going to get broken. Israel is going to make a deal. It's going to get broken. And you're going to constantly see, like, they're going to come up with these things and somebody is going to usurp or break that thing, because that's how that works.
Right. And so that's heavy. That's heavy knowledge right there. And I like to circle it back around. You guys are like, well, what does that have to do with Bitcoin? So let's circle it back around. Bitcoin, you still want to be prepared, right? So having your Bitcoin is being prepared, right?
Mm-hmm.
No matter how much you got, everybody got into the Bitcoin game to get rich and all that, Lambos. But man, but the game is the game. You better have some. You have a little bit, you got a lot, whatever. Get your Bitcoin situated, dollar cost average,
Mm-hmm.
right? Get your precious metals situated,
Mm-hmm.
dollar cost average them. You want to have these things because it's turbulent times.
Yes.
And she spoke very eloquently about the turbulent times.
Mm-hmm.
You want to have what you need in the cut, right? Everybody's out here, they want to go out and party and vacation. Man, it ain't about that right now. It's about
Preparation.
It's about circling the wagons and getting ready, getting your coin. You get whatever coin you want. We just are big on Bitcoin, but whatever coin, whatever project, so whatever you want to get, is real estate, whatever you want to do, whatever you want to do. So that's how we circle around in these turbulent times. And so it's good to stay focused, stay down, stay focused on what you're doing as far as putting stuff away for your family and generations to come.
Also, start going to the supermarket and getting canned goods and water, right? Things that are that preserve for a long time.
Yeah.
Every time you go to the supermarket, dollar cost average your way into water. and whatever canned goods that you need for yourself and your family.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm telling you that because next what they want to do is, we had a period where, and I'm talking about America, I'm not talking about any other country. They said that the statistic was 72% of Americans, of all Americans, are obese,
Mm-hmm. That's
right?
78, but
78.
I think it's 78 pushing 80.
But the 80 was 80% of them are morbidly obese.
I was talking about the black community, but you talking about in
I'm
general?
talking about in general,
Okay.
right? So 80% of that 72% are morbidly obese, meaning it's consumption, consumption, consumption. Your ads, your recreation. When people are bored, they eat. You remember the pandemic? They were laughing like it was the pandemic 20, almost like the freshman 20. It's supposed to be the freshman 15. There's a HBCU, and I can't. Maybe somebody in the chat know which one. There was a HBCU who suspended all of its athletics in order to drive an initiative to help the freshmen because they were like all overweight.
I do remember that. I can't remember which one it is.
Right? So, and it's not healthy. But I'm bringing all of that up because what they did was they fattened everyone up. And then what they're going to do is they're going to use food to control behavior.
They sure are. And let me tell you one other thing. As she said, stack up on your canned goods,
Yep.
stack up on your water and things like that. You got to get your bug out bags. If you guys are familiar with those things. And unfortunately, man, you gotta get your you're gonna have to get your artillery up. So, we're in another country where guns aren't like prevalent like that. They're not prevalent. But in the United States, everybody got a gun. It was a stat that said there was more guns than there are people in the United States.
Wow.
So you better get your gun game up, get some artillery. I don't know legal or illegal. I ain't telling you to go out and get a legal gun, but I'm saying get your gun game up because cats got guns and you gonna need guns. So that's something to think about. Get your gun. You want to get it legally, go get your license, certification, or if you know how to just go get one in the cut. I mean, it's life, man. We gotta protect ourselves, no matter what. So that's something to think about.
And I don't know.
Because that's part of what the people call the what do you call them people?
The NRA?
Not the NRA. The people who are always the doomsday prepper.
Oh.
So that's part of that, man. You gotta get that stuff up, get your game up, make sure you got everything you need, generators, gasoline, these things. You got to be ready, prepared. So that's something to think about. But also, you got to have your wealth. You got to have your wealth, right? You got a whole bunch of physical silver in your home, and things start to go bad, and people coming around. Man, you got to have some artillery. You got to protect it. You got to protect your family. You got to protect your wealth. So be ready for that. Be ready for that in these days and times that are coming.
I want to shout out Let Freedom Ring. How you doing?
Hey.
It's nice to see you. Thank you so much for joining us. Let Freedom Ring said, I like that, being prepared. PFC Wells said, the meals that matter, gold, silver, and brass. Laughing emojis. And you get some colloidal silver, too, so that you can keep your sustenance in your body. And Alpha Robin says solar generators. Absolutely.
Definitely. Hold on, that's a great idea because, most generators, in my day, I had generators, they're gas generators. That's an awesome idea, solar generators. And when you have a solar generator, keep in mind in the solar cells, what is it?
It's silver.
It's silver. So, yeah, that's an awesome idea. So, shout out to that idea.
But Alpha Robbins also want to explain. I'm going to be very quick, and then we're going to let y'all go.
Oh, I got some stuff right before we go.
Okay, babe. Go ahead. But with the solar generators, remember, this is all about climate change, social carbon credits. So you won't be able to get a generator that needs gasoline. The BRICS nation have already decided they're creating a new currency. It's going to be $1 US. I'm sorry, I need your hand. $1 US to 55. I'm going to call it BRICS, right? Because we don't know what the currency is called yet. So $1 US to 55 BRICS means that the dollar is no longer the petrol dollar. The dollar no longer has control of gasoline, of petrol oil. Okay? So the solar generators, are absolutely about, being able to stay within the confines of what they're trying to do because you won't have access to gas. All right, he's gonna close it out, y'all.
Yeah, I'm gonna close it out, man. I'm gonna do a hard pivot. So that was a good show, and that was good information that my beautiful wife brought to the game. She brought some beautiful game, as she is beautiful. So, but I want to close it out on a hard pivot. So we're gonna move to a different subject. Um, so this is Friday, and we are about to enjoy a 3-day weekend. Labor Day being on Monday. So I want to shout out Labor Day, and I have a problem with some things that go on. I'm not going to go into it too deep, but I do want to shout out all the people who do the laborious jobs that undergird society, right? As we get into these days, there's a lot of tech going on. I get it. People opening up, they opening up, CEOs of this one. We got these CEOs of this coin and this project, rug pools, a whole bunch of people doing all this stuff in tech. I wanna salute on this Labor Day weekend the people who do the hard work. I'm talking about plumbers, electricians, what else?
The mailman, like
garbage man, mailman.
yeah, he bring you, those checks that we get a stimulus and you don't have direct deposit.
Right.
You waiting on that physical check.
UPS, UPS drivers. You be waiting. You order Amazon. You wait for your
But
stuff.
your volunteer firefighters, paid or unpaid, right? The police have their utility for the most part, right?
Yeah,
so I don't want to knock them, but
they could be.
who else? The guy who comes to shovel in the wintertime, right? When those shoveling trucks come and clean up the streets and stuff so you can get to work, so you can move around your neighborhood and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
Your grass cutters, right? Because when the grass is high, the snakes hide in them, right? They said when the grass is cut, the snakes will show. Anybody who is typically what society considers blue collar, it is a lot of economic energy being traded, right, between the person, their labor, and the person who's paying them.
And I take great respect for those people, even when she was talking about simple as people around here who deliver water.
Yeah.
Right? You need that. You can't really do nothing without no water, so we got to have a salute to these people. This is Labor Day. We're talking about labor. We're talking about real labor that people put in.
Construction workers
out there getting your street right.
Or building your building, building your house. Like houses are built in like 3 to 6 months now.
Yeah.
Whole neighborhood.
So, I just wanted to give a shout out to that. It's Labor Day weekend. Remember, everybody's happy to have a 3-day weekend, but take some time and salute to the people who, while we have these holidays, right? So, I know labor isn't pretty. Everything, I guess, what I was told from what I understood, everybody wants a man who makes $100,000. But some cats don't do that. They putting in that work that makes
they are absolutely men of value.
Yeah. So you want to salute those type of people when you see them and stuff. Give them some respect. I appreciate what you're doing. They got to come to your house and do something, or whatever happens. Just give them some respect and some salute.
Yeah.
They are blue collar. They are hard workers. They may not be educated in the way that the United States
that society likes to have that respect for, but they absolutely hold the fabric of society together.
Yep.
Right. If they all quit that skill that they have, right, people are in trouble. If that grid go down, your Duke Energy workers or wherever it is you live. I know Duke Energy is significant in the majority of the country.
Significant down the East Coast. And another thing I'll bring up, I'm just familiar with a lot of different things, but in New York City, you got people like
that's Con Edison though, but
well, yeah, but you got people like the firefighters and the sanitation. So these are union jobs. So when they're trying to negotiate with the union,
they can't strike.
Nope. You can't strike as a sanitation worker. You can't strike as a firefighter. I worked in Cincinnati. There was a smaller fire department, and they couldn't get they couldn't come to an agreement. So what happened is they just froze it out. But the people still had to
go to work.
Firefighters still had to go to work, and they didn't get no check.
Yeah.
They just working for free until the union and the city council can get something together.
Right, they can kind of come together.
But you got to come to work. You can't just stay home like, oh, well, I'm not getting
Somebody's
paid.
house gonna burn down.
Yeah, you
Somebody's
stay.
gonna get killed. Somebody's gonna
Yeah.
die.
And if you stay home, they'll just fire you.
Yeah.
So that's how bad that is. But these are the jobs that undergird society. So you guys always look back at this. Remember that. Remember that on this Labor Day. You know, I don't know. I get off my soapbox. I guess that was enough.
So y'all make sure y'all salute somebody so he can stay off this soapbox, y'all. But thank you so much for joining us, everyone. You know, we always appreciate y'all. We love shouting y'all out because a lot of you have been with us, I think, from like show 1, show 2. This is show 70.
I thought 8, but
78.
I'm trying to get to 100. What's this here? Do we have to shout this out?
So PFC Well said, for the bug out folks, dehumidifiers can generate a gallon of water plus, depending on size and humidity levels, and a proper filter. And guess who has unlimited, or what we will call renewable water source?
Yeah.
So like PFC Wells is already kind of working out and thinking out. I wonder what PFC Wells MOS is. Because you got all these great ideas. You must be like an engineer or something in the military. So I like their ideas. I want PFC Wells to continue to put ideas in the chat when we go live, even if it's not part of the topic. Just keep giving people ideas on how to create renewable water sources. You talked about the solar panels and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
And they're really good ideas. You are thinking beyond the borders of what's happening.
Get in front of this, what's going to happen. So yeah, we got to try to get in front of it. We have time because this stuff is, they have it, but it rolls out slow. So we still have time. If you haven't started, you still have time to get in front of what they're doing. And that's what we're talking about in this series, getting in front of some of these things that they are putting out.
Mm-hmm.
So
the last thing I want to do is I want to give credit to End Time Ministries.
Okay.
They were the ones who gave me the information. So this is my footnote. For those of you who love to hear the scripture, who love to hear the word of God, who do want to study the Bible, End Time Ministries, they have absolutely nothing to do with Simon Family Investment Ventures. It's just where I get a lot of my information when I'm vetting and other content creators. But they were the ones who were able to gather the information of the 9 things you shouldn't do. That way, those of you who are monetized, it doesn't affect your money and it doesn't affect your search ranking. Okay? So we want y'all to have an enjoyable Labor Day. We are going to be streaming multiple times a week.
Yeah.
We don't have a schedule because of the way I'm getting the information. I just want to make sure it's accurate. I do cross-check it. I cross-vet.
Yes, we have.
So I don't want to be like, yeah, we're going to be on Tuesday, and I need that extra day or two in order to make sure what I'm telling you is absolutely accurate.
Yes, indeed. We want to vet our information and bring you the truth.
It says, if you know, you know. I need to catch the replay. Are you able to give the ending wrap-up?
Okay.
I'm not sure what you mean by the ending wrap-up. If you know, you know. But you should be able to watch show 1, show 2, and this show again. That way you can join us down this rabbit hole. Simon and I are going to take you guys on a journey on what's to come, how to prepare, things to think about. And again, always do your own research.
But yeah, definitely we are vetting the information. So the shows will be, they won't be on a certain schedule.
But we will try to stream 2 to 3 times a week. That's our goal. At least twice, right? That's the goal.
Pop up to give you something good.
All right. I hope y'all have a great day. If you know, you know. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm sorry you caught us at the end, but you absolutely can catch the wrap up. We are going to try to come up with a schedule. That way we could tell y'all in advance, like, hey, we're going to be going live on this day at this time. That way you guys don't miss anything. But the replay is just as good, right? Yeah. So I hope y'all enjoy y'all holiday, and we will definitely see you all next week. Be safe, be healthy, and be wise.
Yeah.
Bye, y'all. And of course, you guys know that I don't know how to use this thing, so I don't even know how to turn it off now.
Uh-oh.
Here we go, end stream. We love y'all.